Okay, so welcome back to the class. This is a chapter 5. So today's a comprehensive lecture on entrepreneurship. So I want to begin with a powerful quote that perfectly captures the essence of what we'll be discussing today. So Richard Branson, the chairman of Virgin Group, he's very famous. Anyways, he said, so you don't need to spend money on market research or create reports to find out if your idea will be successful. Most of the time, common sense and intuition are enough. So this quote challenges conventional business wisdom and gets to the heart of entrepreneurial thinking. It's not always about extensive analysis and planning, but often about developing keen intuition and having the courage to act on innovative ideas. So today we are going to explore entrepreneurship from multiple angles. We will examine what it really means, trace its historical development, understand its various forms, and analyze why it has become so crucial for both individual success and national competitiveness. So let me outline our learning objective for today. So by the end of this lecture, you will understand the definition and core concept of entrepreneurship, going beyond the common misconception to grasp its true scope. You will learn about the historical evolution of entrepreneurial thinking and how great thinkers have shaped our understanding over time. We will explore different types of entrepreneurship in modern society, including corporate and social entrepreneurship. Most importantly, you will understand why entrepreneurship is crucial for national competitiveness and economic growth. So finally, we will examine real-world examples of successful entrepreneurial mindsets in action. This knowledge is not just academic, actually. So it has practical applications whether you are planning to start a business, working within an organization, or simply want to approach challenges with greater innovation and creativity. So let's start with the fundamental question. What exactly is entrepreneurship? Actually, we studied a lot of times about entrepreneurship before doing this topic. So what exactly is entrepreneurship? So this seems straightforward, but there are many misconceptions we need to address first. So many people have narrow or incorrect views of entrepreneurship. Some think it's just a mental state or psychological element, that you are either born entrepreneur or you are not. Others believe entrepreneurship is only about starting new businesses or being your own boss. Perhaps most problematically, some view entrepreneurship as simply taking risk without purpose, essentially gambling with resources. So all of these views miss the mark. Let me give you a comprehensive definition that captures what entrepreneurship really encompasses. So entrepreneurship is the personal attitudes and competencies of individuals who seek to create new value through innovation. It's the will to create new value despite operating under conditions of limited resources, uncertainty, and risk. But this definition has several key components we need to understand. The first, entrepreneurship involves personal attitudes and competencies. This means it's not just about having the right mindset, it requires specific skills and capabilities that can be developed and learned. So I'm gonna write it. It is not only about the mindset, it requires specific skills and capabilities that can be developed and learned. And second, it focuses on value creation through innovation. So entrepreneurs don't just rearrange existing value. Actually, entrepreneurs create something new that didn't exist before. Okay, and third, it acknowledges the challenging conditions under which entrepreneurs operate. So limited resources, uncertainty about outcomes, and significant risk of failure. So let's break down the key components of entrepreneurship into three main categories. So the first component is investment and management capabilities. This includes technical management skills, so the ability to organize resources, manage people, and execute plans effectively. So it contains organize resources and manage people and execute plans effectively. Okay, voila, and it involves resource optimization. It's make the most limited assets, the finding creative ways to achieve goals with minimal waste. So Zanga ready for it. So make the most limited asset, finding and finding create ways to achieve goals, their objectives. And it requires strategic planning, of course, the ability to think long term and position your venture for sustainable success. So we studied for the strategic planning tools, SWOT and VRIN like that. Actually, those two concepts are the basic concepts for strategic tool, but it's good example for it. And we are on the second component is resource utilization. This encompasses organizational skills, which means that the ability to structure activities and coordinate efforts effectively. Coordinate efforts effectively. So it includes social awareness, of course, understanding market dynamics, stakeholders' needs, and social trends itself. So market dynamics and plus stakeholders' needs and plus social trends. And also it requires economic understanding. It's grasping how value is created, distributed, and captured in different contexts. And crucially, it involves optimal resource cultivation, the ability to make scarce resources more productive and valuable. And the third component is risk management. This means acceptance of failure. So understanding that setbacks are part of the process and learning to bounce back from them. And it requires a challenging spirit, the willingness to question conventional wisdom and pursue innovative approaches even when they are unproven. And it involves learning from setbacks, treating failures as valuable sources of information rather than just costs to be avoided. So these three components work together to create what we call entrepreneurial capabilities. Mhm. Entrepreneurial capability. The ability to consistently identify opportunities, mobilize resources, and create value even under challenging conditions. Okay, so we move on to historical development of entrepreneurship. So to understand entrepreneurship today, we need to trace its intellectual evolution. The concept has developed significantly over the past 3 centuries, with each era adding new dimensions to our understanding. Okay, so let's start with the 18th century foundation. Mhm. The term entrepreneur was first coined by Richard Cantillon. Cantillon, he's French actually. So a French economist working in the early 70th, 17th century, 18th century, Cantillon defined an sorry entrepreneur as someone who bears uncertain risks. Essentially, someone willing to invest resources without knowing whether they would get return. So this was a revolutionary idea. Mhm. At the time, because most economic thinking focused on predictable, stable transactions. But Cantillon recognized that economic progress requires people willing to operate under uncertainty itself. Okay, so let's move into the 20th century. So we encountered Joseph Schumpeter. Schumpeter, so an Australian American economist whose work fundamentally transformed how we think about entrepreneurship. So in 1911, Schumpeter published the Theory of Economic Development. It's a very classic. If you have time, I recommend to read it. So, which introduced the concept of creative destruction itself. The Schumpeter argued that entrepreneurs are innovators who create new products and services by developing existing products and services in new ways. But more importantly, he identified specific types of entrepreneurial innovation. These include the invention or development of new products, creating something that didn't exist before. So they involve developing new production methods or technologies, finding better ways to making things. So they encompass pioneering new markets, finding new groups of customers or new geographical areas to serve. And they include establishing new organizational forms, creating new to ways of structuring businesses or industries. So Schumpeter made a crucial distinction between entrepreneurs and business people. Entrepreneurs, business people. So he said, entrepreneurs are people who lead innovation. So they create new ways of doing things and drives change in their industries. Business people, on the other hand, people who imitate innovation. Is totally different as well. So business people, they take proven ideas and execute them efficiently. The both are important, of course, yes, and but they serve different functions in the economy. Okay, so we are moved to the modern era. Peter Drucker, who in 1985 published the Innovation and Entrepreneurship, really important, published the book in entrepreneurship era. So Peter Drucker further refined our understanding by defining entrepreneurs as people who create useful value from new and different things, respond to change and challenge, and turn change into opportunity. So Drucker's contribution was recognizing that entrepreneurship is not just about creating new things, it's about responding effectively to change. In a rapidly evolving world, the ability to adapt and find opportunities in disruption becomes crucial for both individual and organizational success. So let me show you how our understanding has evolved by looking at the focus and key characteristics of each era. So in the 18th century, the focus was on risk bearing. So with the key characteristic being financial risk management itself. And entrepreneurs were seen primarily as people willing to invest money without guaranteed returns. And in the early 20th century, the focus shifted to innovation. So with creative destruction as the key characteristic, I'm gonna write it, creative destruction. And entrepreneurs were seen as people who disrupted existing industries by creating better ways of doing things. So in the modern era, the focus moved to opportunity recognition. So with changes as opportunity being the key characteristic, entrepreneurs were seen as people who could spot possibilities that others missed, particularly during periods of disruption. In our contemporary understanding, the focus has expanded to value creation, with holistic value systems as the key characteristic. We now recognize that entrepreneurs create not just economic value, but social, environmental, and cultural value as well. This evolution shows us that entrepreneurship is not a static concept. It continues to develop as our economic and society become more complex and interconnected.